To the Tuesday, June 8th, 2021 City Council Committee of Finance. With us this evening, committee members present, Councilor Boschman, myself, Councilor Di Natale, Councilor Hughes, Vice President Walsh, and President Zarella. Recording of public meetings. I ask anyone in the audience who is recording this meeting to please identify themselves for the record now by standing and stating their name and address. I did not get any recording of public meetings. That's recording of public meetings. So no one is here to record the public meeting. Public forum. If there is anyone in the audience who wishes to address the commission, they may do so at this time. You may speak on any item appearing on the agenda for not more than 2 minutes. Please stand and state your name and address and the item on which you wish to speak. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak? Department heads will have a chance to speak when your order is called up. So I don't see anybody from the public that have logged in on Zoom that wishes to speak. So that will end the public comment period. And we'll start with the agenda. 110-21, in order that there be and hereby is transferred the sum of $7,202, same to be charged against reserve for snow and ice removal and credited to following Department of Public Works snow and ice accounts. Personal services overtime, equipment, this transfer will go specifically to equipment rental for the $7,202. And a letter from the Commissioner on May 19th to the Mayor states as follows: the Department of Public Works respectfully requests this transfer from available funds or transfer from within to the following snow and ice accounts. DPW S&I expenses, equipment rental, $7,202. This request will enable us to close out the snow and ice accounts for FY21 without carrying a deficit into FY22. The total snow and ice budget for FY21 would increase from $900,000 to $907,202 with this appropriation.
Motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion made and seconded to approve, and if there are no objections, I'll take this under unanimous consent. Seeing none, it is adopted unanimously. Next item is 111-21, in order that there be and hereby is appropriated the sum of $50,000 to be charged against available funds and credited to other post-employment benefits OPEB trust fund. And a letter from the mayor to Auditor Brooks on May 26 states as follows: Dear Mr. Brooks, kindly draw a council order for the city of Fitchburg to appropriate the sum of $50,000 from available funds and credited to the other post-employment benefits trust fund. Along with previous appropriations as well as accumulated interest, this appropriation will bring the balance in the OPEB trust fund to approximately $1,875,000.
How much you say, 1,800,000?
$1,875,000.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve. If there are no objections, I will take this under unanimous consent for approval. And it is adopted unanimously, or recommended unanimously. Next, we'll go to 112-21. In order that there be and hereby is appropriated the sum of $4,000 to be charged against available funds and credited to building contracted services for the purpose of digitizing building department paper documents. A letter here from the building commissioner, Mr. Barbadoro, to the mayor on May 10th states as follows: I respectfully request an appropriation of $4,000 from available funds to complete the digitizing of the building department records. When the 200 Boulder Drive city offices were vacated and cleared, we uncovered 225 tubes of plans and a box full of binders. This, combined with a small amount of unscanned active project plans, represents the last of the historic building department plans. Since our move to City Hall, the building department has required digital copies of plans, so we should not need additional scanning funding for building department records in the future. Councilor Boschman.
One question, maybe the city auditor can answer this. There's no other buildings, department heads are going to be wanting to do this either, right? Is there going to be other department heads that are going to want to digitize their equipment, like water and wastewater and DPW and et cetera, et cetera?
Not that I'm aware of.
All right. Okay. Marcus Anthony.
Oh, sorry, Mr. President. Yep.
No problem. Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, I just wanted to address that briefly and note that unlike most departments, the building department has a large number of records that are actually legally relevant for example, any permit or special permit by the zoning board or whatever needs to refer to specific, specific plans that have been approved and so forth. That really doesn't apply in most other departments. So I don't see any reason that most other departments would need to do this.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I make a motion we accept.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to accept the appropriation. Seeing no objection, we'll take this under unanimous consent. It is favorably recommended. We will move on to 11321, in order that there being hereby is appropriated the sum of $280,000, same to be charged against available funds, and credited to library capital building renovation for construction of new heating and cooling systems. And I'll also take 11421 with it, which is an order that there being hereby is transferred from within the sum of $220,000 to be charged against reserve for other municipal purposes, capital expenses, and credited to library capital building renovation for the construction of new heating and cooling systems. So it would be a total of $500,000, $280,000 from free cash, $220,000 from reserve for other municipal purposes. And we have a letter. I had a letter. If I skipped over it, here it is. From the director of the library, Ms. Bernard, to Mayor Di Natale on May 11th. Dear Mayor, we respectfully request the following appropriation related to the Fitchburg Public Library MEP needs. An appropriation of $40,000 to complete the engineering to design new heating, cooling, and auxiliary systems to provide suitable HVAC conditions in the building, which this committee and council already adopted last week. And the appropriation before us this evening for the $500,000 to complete the work as defined under the design as previously requested. As was observed in the site walk on May 4th, 2021, the existing conditions merit the new work to ensure a functioning building. All work completed using this funding will be required to remain in place and be utilized on any future renovation or expansion to the library campus. Any questions? Councilor Boschman.
Any question, maybe the Chair or Calvin Brooks can answer. I asked this question before. Now,
Council, 1 second. I should have asked if there was anything you'd like to add to the letter. Okay. Go ahead.
my question to you, I know that you came a couple of years ago, or a year ago, 2 years ago, you came in front of the council as a whole, asking that we appropriate some money because you wanted to do major renovations. How do we stand with the capital? You're on part of it. Are we getting near the time?
It'll be a few more years. We're number 9 on the wait list now. 3 years before that comes up.
4 years?
3.
Three more years? Now, Mr. Auditor,
Yes. Yes, sir.
on this appropriation of $500,000, do you see the city moving forward with this big capital improvement down the road? I mean, we're going to have an overrun on the Crocker Elementary School.
I think on this project, if as I understand the way the letter is stated, the work that's being done is going to be done to suit the current building, but can also be adapted to whatever renovation takes place going forward. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Right.
So this decision is separate from any issue with the renovation. It's more a decision, I believe, that it just has to get done.
It's to fix the problems we have right now.
Yeah, but the reason why I'm asking these questions, ma'am, Ms. Bernard, is because I've seen times when we did a renovation, and then a year later, we went back and we shut it down, and that $1 million that we invested ended up being junk. All I want to make sure on $500,000 that we're actually going to go ahead with the whole completion. I mean, I don't want to come down the road in 5 years or 4 years and say, we're going to tear the whole building down and we're going to go brand new because we found out it's going to be a heck of a lot cheaper. And we spent $500,000 in 3 years to get rid of something that if we could have just Mickey Moused it or put a Band-Aid on it for 3 more years and decide actually which way we're definitely going to go.
Right.
You know, that's the only thing I want.
Yeah, we're at a point where we can't Band-Aid it anymore.
Yeah.
We've got 3 or 4 pumps for the air conditioning and only one works. The chiller outside is so rusty that it's leaking constantly wasting water. And they were here today, and he said, we can't weld rust. So it really needs to be done at this point. And we will make sure that they can reuse this in whatever renovation we do, a few years
If
from
we tear
now.
down the building, we'll be able to transfer it.
Right.
That's all I care.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, this should be irrespective of the full, complete renovation that's in the works, because as the director said, we're on the state's timeline for that, and it's 3 years out, and we can't wait that long. And the fact that this will be transferable to that renovation, it does not mean we're throwing it down the drain. I would argue that any amount of money the city can invest before that point is less money we got to spend for the actual renovation. So if the city were to have free cash available in the next few years, maybe there's some other items in the library that need attention that we could invest in directly that would also transfer to the new facility, dropping that price tag down even further. So I think that would be a wiser financial move on the city's part, is to spend as much as we can internally without having to borrow, and lowering the cost in the future for when we actually get turned on by the state's funding. So, Mr. President Zarella.
I'll defer first to Councillor Hughes.
Councilor Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question is, in terms of the renovations, is this money primarily for the heating and cooling system or for structural, mainly structural? Or it's,
For the future?
well, this
For this-
money you're asking for
This
now?
is for the boiler room itself,
For the
really.
okay.
Yep, replace the heating, the boilers and the AC units.
All set, Councilor?
Yes, all set.
President Zarella.
Thank you. I just wanted to second what Chairman Di Natale had said, in that, as we've seen this year quite dramatically, the costs of construction continue to skyrocket.
Yeah, I know.
So if this is something that we can take care of now and not have to take out of whatever state monies we get or out of future municipal appropriations or loans or however we end up funding that, that's going to save us money. And certainly I would not want to see anything happen to the functionality of the library in the interim.
Yeah, we hold our breath every day.
Motion
Make
to
a motion,
approve?
we accept.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve orders 113 and 114-21. I will take these under unanimous consent. There's no objection. Seeing none, they are both favorably recommended to the full council. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to 115-21, an order that there being hereby is transferred from within the sum of $135,000 to be charged against available funds, charged against reserve for other municipal purposes, capital expenses, and credited to airport expenses, repair and maintenance of buildings for reconditioning of the hangar roofs and replacement of the hangar doors. I have a letter here from Mr. Kettle, manager of the airport, interim manager of the airport, which states as follows, dated May 11th. Dear Mayor, we respectfully request an appropriation of funds for airport maintenance research, rectification in terms of roof sealing on hangars 2 and 3 at the Fitchburg Municipal Airport to the order of $40,000, which would be $80,000 per roof. Pilots place their expensive planes in these 2 old hangars and expect the hangars to be leak-free if it rains, or if there is other inclement weather like freezing conditions, where the water turns into ice, making it very dangerous to move any airplanes. Also for the appropriation of $55,000 estimated for a new door, including installation for Hangar 10, the current hangar rented by the Nagel Aircraft Company, making a grand total of $135,000. We are looking at 2 old hangars built approximately 80 years ago with leaking roofs, plus a sliding door system on a 50-year-old hangar that over the years the bottom tracks have become inoperable due to the many severe winters and heaving of the ground below them, making the rolling movement of these doors almost impossible. The time to repair these problems have gone on for years is now, as all of the hangars identified above are still capable of giving many years of operation as long as the repairs are completed as soon as possible in a timely manner. We trust that both yourself and the City Council will view this favorably, thereby indicating to the tenants at the airport that we are doing all possible to slowly upgrade the outdated facilities we have at the airport in an effort to keep them at the Fitchburg Municipal Airport now and for the future, and at the same time offering new tenants a good, solid hangar residence for their airplanes. Mr. Kettle, is there anything you'd like to add to that? You're muted, sir.
Thank you. Is that better?
Yes.
Yeah, first of all, apologies for not being in attendance personally. My assumption was that people that spoke from the outside had to stay outside and come in on Zoom, so
Well, I'm sorry about
apologies for that. Secondly, we've all worked very hard. We've got a very good team down at the airport now, and we want to give the Fitchburg City Council and the residents of Fitchburg an airport they can be proud of. But there's still a lot of more work to do. We attracted Nagel Air, as I mentioned earlier in the letter from Hanscom, and he's invested $50,000 of his own money into the airport hangar that he's resident in. Not only that, but I don't think anybody understands the importance of having the airport here when we have corporate planes coming from UTS, Peterbilt, Planet Fitness, Simons, Amazon, Department of Correction, US Marshals, Quarter Shares, Millionaire, Everest, and today Parker. So our name is getting out there, the runway is getting out there, people want to come to visit us, and it also provides a massive opportunity for big companies to get here easily for any development that they need to do in the surrounding area. So thank you.
Council Bushman.
I went down to the airport when we had the budget hearings, and the commissioner showed us around about the things, and I agree with him on the roof. But I only have three things that I got to ask you. Three. You promised to pay back the money. You get your pilots to advertise Pittsburgh when they go on their tours and they're flying things. GM is looking for a place to build a building so they can do batteries, electric for the cars, and the new cars come out electric, so they want to build batteries. So maybe somebody knows somebody on the board down there, and they can talk about Fitchburg. And my question is, did you or did anybody in the department heads talk to Amazon about our airport? Because Amazon is coming in. Do you know of anybody talking to Amazon to tell them how we get an airport and maybe we can get a cargo plane coming in to unload their stuff when they build that by next year? Amazon.
I asked that very question of the mayor and also of Mary Jo, and I was told that yes, it was discussed, but I've never had any contact with Amazon, never.
I can say that in my discussions with the mayor and Mary Jo, one of the selling points of our city in them coming here was the close proximity to the airport.
Excellent.
That was one of their, selling points that attracted them here was that airport. So that, I just wanted to make that note. That
Thank
it's
you.
another example of, it does serve as an economic driver to the city. Thank you. Oh, he does? I didn't see that. Councilors, oh, there he is. I didn't see the picture. Is there any other questions from the committee? Can I defer to Mrs. Skorsky? Mrs. Skorsky, did you want to say anything?
Oh, I was just going to say, I was there in those initial conversations with Amazon, so I just wanted to affirm what Mr. Kettle and Councilor Di Natale had stated. It was a key selling point in those early conversations with them. I think they recognize the importance of the airport, and I'm glad to hear they're using him.
But, Mr. Chair?
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, the only thing I want to make sure is that the pilots are networking the city of Fitchburg.
Well, Council, we can't dictate what the
Well, I'm
what
not
the pilots
dictating, I'm
do.
asking,
I mean,
I'm asking the
yeah, I
commissioner
mean,
if he could talk to his pilots and say,
I'm sure.
sell Fitchburg.
I mean, I won't speak for you, Mr. Kettle, but I know that you're a very big promoter of the city, so I have no doubt that you're in constant contact with prospective interested parties in using the airport and those that are current customers. So I think it goes without saying, because if you don't do that, then the airport doesn't benefit either. So it's a mutual benefit to the city and the airport.
Well, I just want to make sure he understands where I stand. That's all.
Mr. Kettle, go ahead.
May I just add one thing, please, Councillor Boschman?
Yes.
Within the next 5 years, if everything goes according to plan with the approval of the reels and the pappies, which were cancelled again today because of inclement weather, and the approach plates get approved, then we can get small cargo jets coming into the airport because the runway's long enough. So we have the ability to get large companies coming in and bringing their corporate people, like have been on the 12 or 13 corporates that I've mentioned to you earlier. And in terms of paying the money back, definitely, because this year we're the first time in many years we're in the black, and if we get the grants to do, the appropriation to do these building modifications, it's going to brighten up that end of the actual airport as well. Because at the moment, they're just rusty covers over old 80-year-old hangars, which still have a lot of useful life in them. So, I look to the council to approve the appropriation. Thank you.
Councilor Hughes.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Kelly. I'm in full support of this appropriation because it says to the existing customers that Fitchburg cares about the very valuable equipment that they have, and then they in turn can sell it to someone else, which was Mr. Boschman's concern. They can tell other prospective customers they really, really provide safe, areas that really, really protect our valuable equipment. So that's a good marketing way to also get the word out there. So.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair.
One second. Mr. Kettle, if you'd be so kind to send a communication to the council on what you said earlier about the major corporations that have corporate individuals come here. I think, because we should be emphasizing that to the public, because the airport gets a continuous bad rap that it doesn't serve any purpose to the city. And so getting information like that, in addition to, and I know the auditor probably can back this up too, the fact that people need to understand that and I may get this wrong, so correct me, do the tenants we get property taxes paid from the airport customers, do we not? That goes into the general fund?
Yes, personal property.
Personal property taxes. So at a minimum, we're collecting personal property taxes from the utilization of the airport that doesn't go to the airport, it goes to the city's general fund.
Yes.
In addition to the added economic activity. So it would be interesting to know what that value is that we get currently from them. Again, as another selling point, because I'm always eager and willing to promote this airport to the public, to make them understand that not only is it supposed to be self-sufficient, but that it generates tax revenue to the city that doesn't go to the airport, and we're attracting these major clients to this city, and these are not small ticket companies, these are big companies, so it'd be just nice to have that information.
I will do that, sir. Thank you.
Council Boschman.
Only one thing, one final note, I just want to tell you. Mr. Commissioner had the linear jet go over my house the other day, and the guy waved to me. And I just wanted to tell you that, and because I saw it, because I called Mr. Kettle up to tell him that. Thank you for sending the jet over my house. So, that's it. I make a motion, we accept.
Second.
Motion has been made to accept 115-21. I will take this under unanimous consent if there are no objections. Seeing none, it is approved, recommended favorably unanimously. Thank you. Next is 116-21, in order that there being hereby is transferred from within the sum of $2,500 to be transferred from the Airport Personal Services labor and credit to Airport Personal Services overtime. And the letter from Mr. Kettle to the mayor about this transfer states as follows. As you know, we lost one of our linemen to a senior position within the city, and as a consequence, we paid an extra 1 hour's overtime every day for almost 4.5 months until a suitably qualified new lineman could be found to fill that position. We believe this slight adjustment will enable continued excellent service to our existing customer base as well as to the new customers that will be frequenting the Fitchburg Municipal Airport going forward. Any questions on this one?
Motion to approve?
Motion made and seconded to approve the transfer. I will take this under unanimous consent if there are no objections. Seeing none, it is favorably recommended. 117-22, 21, order that the City of Fitchburg hereby approves the expenditure of funds from the Federal Aviation Administration Airport Coronavirus Response Program grant in the amount of $23,000, which is to cover airport expenses. And the letter on this one states as follows. The first grant award for $23,000 is for the Airport Coronavirus Response Program as a continuous stimulus effort within the CARES Act, which can be used for the general running of the airport. The acceptance, actually, councils, if you don't mind, I'll take 11821 as well, because they're both on the same letter. That is an order from the FAA, another grant for $333,333, which is to develop an airport master plan. And the letter states on that one that this money is for the airport master plan to be developed by Gale Associates, the consulting company for the airport. This grant is made payable to the Fitchburg Municipal Airport. The acceptance of these grants from the FAA will enable the municipal airport to use said monies, $23,000 on day-to-day running activities going forward, and also the $333,000 to enable the airport consultant Gale Associates to complete the master plan development in line with the FAA requirements for the next 20 years, which is subject to change as required by the FAA. Both grants are covered by the FAA at a 100% participation, which means there's no city match. Any questions on the following two grants?
Make a motion, we accept.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to accept the two FAA grants to the airport, and if I see no objections, I'll take this under unanimous consent, and it is favorably recommended for passage. Thank you, Mr. Kettle.
Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Lastly, and I will just take all of these in together. 119-21, order that the City of Fitchburg approves the expenditure of funds from the CARES Act, U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, CDBG CV program for $9,000 for the purpose of said grant, which is for pandemic-related legal assistance. 120-21 is an order to of $9,999 to be credited to the Pollock Playground Project and charged against CDBG year 47. 121-21 is an order that the sum of $1,857.20 be appropriated, same to be credited to the Small Business Financial Assistance Program and charged against the CDBG year 47. And 122-21 is an order for $2,682.80 to be credited to CDBG administration and charged against CDBG year 47.
Motion to accept?
Second?
If it, one sec, I'd like to just make sure that Mr. Skorsky has a chance to speak since he's here, if he wanted to. Mr. Skorsky, is there anything you'd like to speak to on any of these four?
I think I'm okay. I think they speak for themselves. I would state, HUD basically made a mistake. We thought we got a lower allocation, and it in the end, after giving us the initial award amount, they came back and said we were about $14,000 and change off. So the last items are related to that change. The $9,000 is related to our CARES Act funding. But happy to take any questions if you have them, but I'll leave it at that for now.
So it was a good mistake.
Good mistake.
Yeah. Okay. Always good to underrun, so we get more money. All right, I have a motion made and seconded to approve all four orders or recommend them favorably. If I see no objections to these, I will take them under unanimous consent. Seeing none, they are all favorably recommended to the full council.
Make a
Thank you.
motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adjourn, and if there are no objections, we are adjourned. Thank you.